look, this guy's he's 62 years old. That's great, man.
Welcome to Backroads Truth, a podcast where faith meets melody. Hosted by ICMA Artist of the Year, singer-songwriter, Justin Todd Herod.
There you go.
I've got an interesting guest today that probably can relate, but he's also lived a life that can relate to some Backroads Truth because he's been on the road and he's done a lot of things on the road as a music artist. And I'm going to let him tell you more about it. And I think maybe if I can hopefully just talk him into it, he's going to play one of his amazing songs for us. Michael Mahler, man, it's good to have you here today, brother. Thank you for being here, man. Blessings to you. I'm happy to have you, man. I sure love you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Big time.
No doubt.
Hey, man, I've heard a little bit about your life, and man, I feel like, man, I've really done very little compared to what you've got to do, man. You've done some cool things, man.
Had a lot of fun.
I know you have, but along the way, you've learned some cool lessons too, hadn't you?
Absolutely. Learned some truth.
Well, and
That's
you know
what we're here
what?
for.
That's what this program is about, is talking truth. And I want to ask you, man, if you can maybe share some of that truth with us. Will you play a song for us in a minute?
Yeah.
If I ask you to?
Yeah, be happy
Thank you.
to.
Well, that'd be a blessing. But I want you to tell me about the music business and how you kind of started in that. Because I know you'd kind of told me a little bit about, you started out doing some youth ministry and working with, and you were kind of a rocker, man, a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
Just take off and tell me about that a little bit, if you don't mind, man.
Well, I in college I was with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Worked with all that and started writing gospel music or contemporary Christian music, and then I started playing out for kids.
Okay.
And it was kids. It was my thing. And
Well,
I was
how old
wearing-
were you then? How old were you?
I was 19, 20, something like that. And I was, wearing leather pants, and
Okay,
and I was
okay.
built pretty good back then, so I
Weren't we all,
didn't wear
man?
much shirts.
Me too.
And anyway, so we did that, and we weren't received by the elders very well.
Oh,
Kids
okay.
kids loved us, but
Yeah.
at that time, that was like in the 80s,
Okay.
early 80s.
Okay.
And we were sort of new. There wasn't a lot of rock Christian stuff going on.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say I got ran out of that, but I've got read off a few times. People would call and say,
feel you.
"What's he going to wear? We've heard about him."
I got you.
So it
You
was
were just
cool.
being yourself,
Just
right?
being me. Just being me. I'm really a country boy. I grew up on the farm and
Okay.
ranch.
Right.
But I love rock and roll, man. I love to do that
hear you,
a
man.
whole lot.
I bet
And,
you were good at it too, man.
we had a good time. I don't know how good we were, but
Well,
we
I-
had fun, and we tried to bless the youth,
Yeah.
and it was cool.
Man, it's
We
a right
touched a lot of people.
Isn't it crazy when you start out sometimes in music, man? Because I've been down that road, and especially in gospel or Christian music, you have this great desire, man, to go out and tell people about your story, tell how God has changed your life, and then all of a sudden, wham, you run smack dab into this wall of religion, man.
There you go.
And I'm not afraid to say it. Listen,
Yeah.
there is a difference in religion and having a relationship with Jesus Christ. If you study the life of Christ, you see he ran smack dab into religion. They didn't like some long-haired carpenter telling them, about that he was a son of God, and
You're
those religious
exactly
people
right.
didn't like that.
You're exactly
They ran
right.
him out.
Yeah, that's right.
But I know what you mean. You're not trying to say anything negative, and I
No.
get it. I know your heart.
No,
But
no.
it is a negative when you're out there really trying to engage with people, and all of a sudden, it's a sad thing and a sad commentary many times for artistry or music, and let's even say ministry, when religion takes over like that, and it sometimes can hurt you, can't it?
It hurt your feelings.
Yeah. Did it do that to you?
It hurt your feelings. Yeah, it sure
It did.
It sure did. Yeah.
Well, what was your reaction to that, Mike?
Well, the interesting thing, I wrote country music too,
Mm-hmm.
and so eventually ended up in Nashville.
Okay.
And my songs kind of were not popular yet. But
What time period was that, Michael, if you don't mind
This
me
was
asking?
in the middle 80s.
Okay.
Probably
All right.
something like that. I lived in Nashville for 20 years.
Wow.
And so anyway,
Dang, man.
I got to doing country music because there was no problem with people in my country music.
They accepted you, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, and I'm not that they didn't accept me. The kids loved me, loved our
I get it.
group,
I get it,
our
man.
band. But
It's Backroads Truth, brother, so we're going
yeah,
to tell
no,
it like it is, man.
but the truth is, country was easier, and I'm
Yep.
from the country, and so I always wrote country music.
But
And-
you didn't have that deal about the way you dress or the way that you were maybe acting. And bear in mind, I'll get right back. There's certain decorum, or let me use a different word. There's certain behavior and things that we should probably always try to do to follow through with. What's not going to offend people. The Bible's full of that. Don't offend, and tells us how to operate that way. But if you're reaching people, you know, and it's the gospel coming forth, I mean, certainly I know your heart just by what I know about you. I can see the contrast already when you left that, because you were kind of like, man, these guys, I'm doing my heart. I'm sincere. I'm writing good music. But when you go to Nashville and all of a sudden they say, yeah, man, we'll take you. It's kind of like you find a place where, you know, hey, these people accept me, right? Is that kind of the way it works?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It felt like home too, being with country music.
Okay.
You know, and I learned a lot of lessons from it.
Oh, I know.
I know you have too.
Well, I'll talk about mine later. I want to hear about yours right now.
Well, I lived in Nashville for 20 years.
Okay.
And when I was pretty young, we had a band. We won the Nashville Battle of the Bands.
Wow.
It was a big deal. We got a 5-night-a-week gig and a honky-tonk from it.
Can you say the name of it, if you don't mind?
That one was named Mixed Company.
Whoa.
Was the name of that band. And we eventually became Wild Horses, and we were signed with Sony. We're signing to Atlantic first, and then they dropped us before we got out. Then we went to
you were
Sony.
signed with Atlantic Records?
Yeah, we got a deal with Atlantic, with Barry Beckett being our producer.
Wow, man.
But we never put a record out with them.
Okay.
Because their president got dropped, and then we went to Sony the next day.
That's big stuff.
Sony Epic. So we only had one single with them before they dropped us.
That's okay, man.
That's okay. It was fun.
Just to get signed, man, is
big deal.
Especially in the 80s, man. That was kind of a transitional time for country a little bit.
Well, we didn't get signed till 2000.
Really?
We were there a long time.
That's even more impressive.
Yeah, late 80s to 2000 we got signed.
Well, did you play a lot around town when you was there? Did you play out?
I played up to 200, 250 dates a year in and around Nashville or close to Nashville.
Were you making a living at it, man?
Yeah. I was making a living, but we were working. You
Hey,
you got to go to work every day.
Don't get the camera too close on my eyes right now. You'll understand what he's talking about.
Yeah. Luckily, I grew up on a farm and knew how to work.
You knew how to work.
So it worked out well. And my wife and I got to be in this group together, and that was the beautiful part of it, is that we could travel all that time together and grow. And
you did the Wild Horse Saloon? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we had the house gig at the Wild Horse Saloon. It was us and a band called Texas Sea who became Lone Star. And so we were called New West back then.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it like? Was you playing there steady, man?
We had the house gig there, us and Lone Star now, whoever they are, so what they were back then.
Wow. What was that like?
It was fun. It was a huge
it's a beautiful
stage,
place,
and all the stars would show up.
It's a dance hall, man.
Yeah, but a lot of stars would show up and come backstage and hang out, and it was fun.
Tell me about your stage persona a little bit, man.
Well,
I can only imagine.
I never could. I never could outplay or outsing anyone. My wife's a world-class singer.
Oh yeah, I've heard, man.
Ragged honky tonker, and
you play pretty good, bro.
Well, thank you, appreciate that. And so I had to put on. This is what I am, but on stage, I become someone that runs all over the crowd and jumps on the tables and jumps on the bars. Yeah, and that's what helped make us a really good living at one time in Nashville, because we were different. We were not afraid to be part circus, part country music, and it worked out pretty well.
So you're a performer, natural born, right?
Yes, sir.
I bet you are, man.
I had to stay alive.
Well, can I ask you something personal, if you don't mind,
sure,
man? If you could answer it for me. Do you feel like sometimes in life that people, if they are in the music business or the entertainment business, that sometimes that performance is just, that's what they do to cover up stuff a lot of times? Do you think that's true?
Yes,
they would cover up some of their pain or their hurts, or maybe their performing in real life sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
Did that ever happen to you?
Of course.
Me too, man. Me too.
I've been not proud, but I've been at places where I got too drunk and I couldn't finish playing.
Man, you're talking to the right man here.
Yes,
sir. I've been there. Been there.
That's a hard place to be, but I got over it. I got through it and found my peace.
Wow. So when I'm talking about maybe like, I know that you're a great performer, and I've heard you warm up a little bit before the set, and I know you're a great player, and you're also an amazing songwriter and a pretty dang good singer. But I know that your niche probably was like performing and really being that attraction that people could see because of the energy and stuff like that. Did you ever think there was times in your life, though, that where you were kind of like, I'm not saying that, I know that you changed into a different person kind of and had to do it for the job, but did that performance ever bleed over into your life to where you were kind of hiding things in your life and just kind of, you're on stage and maybe people never really saw the real pain or hurt? Maybe that was
all
in your
the
life.
time.
Yes, sir.
All the time.
Right. How'd you get around that, man?
Well, just when it's time to go to work, you turn it off if you can.
Okay.
And just go to work.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I've always had a spiritual center.
Yes, sir.
I walked down the aisle when I was 12 years old.
Did you really?
Little River Baptist Church.
Wow.
And that was the start of my spiritual journey.
Okay.
So.
Wow. 12 years old.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to me. I was like 8 or 9 years old.
You're like me. You probably needed it pretty bad.
I didn't know anything that, Michael, to be honest, man, I grew up in a Baptist church where I was so scared to go to hell, man. That's what got me down. The preacher, that's all. They only had 2 sermons. One was on hell and one was on heaven, man, you know. And that was about how I kind of grew up. But you know, I was like you. I did the club circuit for years, played and opened up for a ton of people that were coming through East Texas. Went to Nashville, did the same thing, and I saw the kind of the way that can affect someone's life. Man, I saw the way that can maybe make a person not only physically and emotionally depleted, but even spiritually depleted, because we're always out in front of people, and it's like, you know, people don't see the behind the scenes stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so you're on the road. You said like what, 250 days a year?
Up to that, yeah.
Is that easy?
No. No.
It's not, is it?
No, not easy at all. And you really have to want to do it, or have to be broke and really want to play a lot, you know. And but we were driven, you know. It was where we were going. And so we played, you know, state fairs and a lot of honky tonks, a lot of casinos, and just wherever we could play. We had an agent that would book us out there. And
wow.
So anyway, that part worked out good, but it was really hard. You know, your voice gets tore up and
lonesome sometimes. It's difficult being out there eating bad food, you know.
Bad food. Luckily, I had my wife with me, and so
that's a luxury, man.
Yeah, no, she was a blessing. It still is a blessing.
We're gonna have our own sometime. You think she'd come join us sometime?
I hope she.
I would love to hear y'all sing together.
Sure, she
man.
will.
Can I ask you a really big question? I just want you to give me the best answer you can. And you don't have to. I mean, this is Backroads Truth. So I'm fixing to go down to a tunnel here.
Let's do it.
This ain't a back road. It's a tunnel. I'm gonna burrow down. Is there any times out there when you were doing this stuff in the music business and maybe you wasn't living, you know, like you should, or maybe going through some of that jadedness or that hurt, or maybe that camouflage of performance that you thought back on those early days of youth ministry? Did it ever pop back in your mind like, this is something that I believe God really used me in?
Yeah.
Did you?
He did use it.
I know he
used
did.
it for a lot of people.
Did you revisit that from time to time? And
I still play sometimes in cowboy churches. I get asked to do that. Milam County Cowboy Church.
Yeah, I know those guys.
In Rockdale. And
They're good people.
They're great people. I play there every now and then, and I really love it.
Here's the next layer of the tunnel. So,
all right.
Did you ever really kind of? I know that you're not this kind of person. What I'm getting at is that hurt and that bitterness maybe that set in, because I'm just speaking for me. I've had that happen to me. Did you kind of forgive those guys for that and get around that and move on?
Absolutely.
Good.
No, nobody gets unforgiven.
That's a beautiful thing.
You know,
man.
I mean, why? I learned.
I love that, bro.
And the difference is,
I love that.
The thing that I learned, I've read the Bible a lot.
Okay.
My Bible's got red marks all through it,
awesome.
everywhere. But I could never horsewhip my flesh into being what it should be. I had to learn how to love, and I had to go to the scripture to where love each other, and
like I've loved you,
because I never could beat myself into being a good person.
Listen, guys, there's a guy here that by every standard would have every right probably to hold a grudge. And listen, getting signed to Sony, that's a big deal. That's not small time. That's a big deal. And I'm not just saying it to blow smoke up on him. I'm just saying this is a guy now that probably could say, look at me, you guys mistreated me. You guys didn't give me a chance. I played my heart out. I really was sincere about doing these things. And now he goes to Nashville. These guys kind of fall over themselves and give him a record deal. He has to work, no doubt about it. But all of a sudden he's got now something he could easily say, you know what, yeah, you know, heck with y'all. Look what I've done. You mistreated me. But what I just asked him, I said, were you able? And he gave the only answer, love. Do you know that Jesus, when he was on the cross after being beaten and whipped and being pummeled on by people's fists and slapped and his beard pulled out, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Forgiveness is a major thing going down this back roads of truth, y'all. Forgiveness is something that will take you into a tunnel. It'll take you into a tunnel that goes so deep that sometimes you've got to realize that the only way you can do it is because we've been loved with so great a love. The Bible makes it clear. You know, how can you be forgiven unless you forgive? It says, love one another just as I've loved you. That's what Michael Blake, you just said, man.
Yeah,
that
man.
Because you experienced some love in your life from a greater love, that you're able now to live that out, man, with other people.
That's my whole focus, is if I love, everything else falls into place. All those things that I couldn't horsewhip my flesh into, it just happens when you decide to surrender to love and make that the whole thing.
Okay. Well, I noticed that about you when I met you, because you and I were in a movie together a little bit, and I got to really get to meet you and know a little bit about you during that time. And we're going to talk about that toward the end. But I've got a lot of questions for you. I've got a ton of things. I'm going to see if I could even twist your arm to do another episode with us sometime soon, if it's possible.
Of course.
But while we got this time, we need some music. And I've told all these people, you're a great guitar player, you're a good songwriter, but I know you've got a song. Would you kind of set it up? Because I think it fits into kind of what we're talking about here, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This is called The Only Thing. And really, it's the only thing that I can do right. If I just decide to love people, if I put that out there first, then everything else works out fine. Everything else works out fine. That's what Jesus said to do. I've read, like I said, I've read the Bible a lot.
Okay.
And I don't get a lot of it.
Right.
There's a lot of it you're never going to have me give you a dissertation on, because I don't get it, a lot of it. But I do get, there's things like a good G chord. There's things that resonate in your spirit.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And so the thought of loving everybody resonates with me.
Okay.
It goes to the
That's coming straight out of the Bible, isn't it?
deepest part of my core.
Okay. That's coming straight out of the Bible, right?
It is.
To love.
It certainly is.
I don't know. I'm going to save this question for the last, because I want to save it. I'm going to push a big pause right here on my question, because I think this song may answer some of that question. So if you would just maybe tell us the name, tell me a little bit how you saw me at the beginning of the deal. I was frustrated. I'm trying to write a song, and I'm sitting there just throwing my pen down and my pick down like it ain't coming. That was not real. I'm just doing that because I want to start the segment out with something cool. But I have had those moments where I had to be inspired. And some of your greatest songs are coming from inspiration. Tell me about your inspiration on this song, please.
Well, this song, I own a real estate company now.
Okay.
With my sister.
Okay.
And so we have something called an hour of thanks that all the realtors get together and do a gospel type show for each other one time a year in the Temple Belton area.
Wow.
And so I always try to write a song for that. And so this came up, and I go, what do I want to tell I love all these realtors. They're good people.
Yeah.
I said, what do I want to tell these people? Well, I just want to tell them to love each other. And then this song just came out. I wrote it the day before I played it. And then so, it's only been played 2 or 3 times.
Really?
Yeah. So,
and tell me the name again.
The Only Thing.
Oh, and I bet that's got something to do with what you've been talking about,
Yeah,
right?
it has everything.
Awesome, man. You mind if I join you?
I would love for you to
Okay,
join me.
I'll do the best I can. I don't know it either.
Wait a little bit. Come on. There you go. You can spend all your time trying to buy the perfect life with a big old house and a real cool car. That can only take you so far, because the only thing I say the only thing worth anything is love. You can't buy it, there ain't no way. You only get it when you give it away. Jesus told us what to do. He said, love each other, y'all, like I love you, because the only thing, you hear me, Justin?
Yes.
I said the only thing worth anything is love. Hey, there ain't no doubt about it. You can live, but you can't live without it. It's what God is. It's all you need. It's written in John 3:16. Because the only thing, hey, the only thing, the only thing worth anything is love. Hey, the only thing worth anything is love.
Well, who said you, man? You're a great picker, man. Dude, I
Thank you.
think the next time we have you, if you'll come back and join us, I'm just gonna kind of put my guitar down and let you you do some stuff, man. I like the way you play. I love your approach on that. The only thing, well, every time that I hear a great song like that, here's what comes to my mind. Something must have happened to you. Something must have happened to you in a moment, like you said, you wrote it, and then you played it later. Tell me kind of what it happened to you, or maybe was it a conglomeration of all these things that we're talking about that made you really come up with that title? Because I know that you said knowing that loving people is the basis now, how you found this wonderful peace in your life. But why is it the only thing that matters in this whole world? Why would it be?
Because it's the only thing that doesn't cause anything bad.
Wow.
It's the only thing that makes you live like, if you want to say, the Bible. You know, if you love people from a agape place, from a deep.
Tell me what agape means.
From a God place, from a Christ
right.
consciousness. Some people, I've heard that word before.
Okay.
You know, if you give yourself up to
laying your life down,
to God, to everything.
Okay.
You know, to me, God is everything. He's never blade of grass, every cow, every dog, every human being.
Okay.
And that to me is all.
Wow.
All God. You know, and we just get to be a piece of that fabric.
Do you know when I think about a verse? And of course, I'm more of a theology guy. You know, a lot of people look at me and think, "That guy's a redneck." You are right. That's kind of a hillbilly. You are right. But I do have somewhat of a little biblical education, and I've worked at it for a long time. And I'm like you. Sometimes the Bible doesn't make a lot of sense to some people. I've been there, still am. You'll never exhaust the vastness of the Bible. But I want to sum up something. There's a verse, and it's found in the epistle of 1 John, and it just says, God is love. So I think what you're saying to me, and I believe you're right, is that love really is the pure and the completely abridged, or I'm going to try to bet a better word. It's the undeniable essence of who God is. He's love, right?
It's the only thing worth anything.
Okay. That
simplifies it for you.
It's the only thing worth anything. So I want to get back to that question, and I think that was kind of it. But I want to kind of capitalize on one thing, man. If you could tell somebody, and I want you to maybe tell me in the best way you can. You ain't got to go for a full sermon, but what allows you to get up every day and live that, man? What do you think that helps you live that every day? Just being able to, say if you and your wife get in an argument, or somebody cuts you off in Dallas traffic, or somebody's done you wrong, or somebody has done you dirty or something like that. How do you still do that, man? How are you able to do that every day?
I try to love like I've been loved.
Oh man, dude,
that's sacrificially.
Golly,
and
bro.
sometimes it's painful, but what else is there?
There's nothing else. There ain't.
It simplifies the whole journey,
man.
You know.
It sounds simple, Michael, but I know it's hard for some people. It sounds simple.
It's hard for me sometimes.
I know it is, but you've brought so much light to this program. Listen, he talked about sacrifice. Let me tell you what the greatest sacrifice was. And this is where I want to make Backroads Truth now kind of come into a moment where, you know, everybody in our listening audience, every guest that we have, every person listening to me, you may have a different thought or view. And as Brother Michael said, he's right. We can't always understand everything about the Bible, but I use the Bible as my source of everything I say when I want to say what is truth, what is the highest realm, the only realm that I know. I would go to Scripture, and I want to say something. The greatest demonstration of sacrificial love happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus Christ took upon himself the punishment that should have been mine and yours for all the bad things that we've done. Listen, this guy has lived a very, very exciting life. He's had a lot of stuff. We didn't get him to scratch the surface. Maybe I'll get him to come back. I hope so. But he's had a very exciting life. And you may say, well, you know what? I bet he's made a lot. Yes, he has. I have. I've made a ton of them. You probably right now could say, man, I've made those mistakes. I've been hurt. I'm still not trying to forgive nobody. I'm not going to forgive nobody. I'm hurt. I am locked down. I'm done. And I'm just mad. Or maybe you're in a place right now you say, man, I don't even know what to believe anymore. I want to tell you something. No matter how bad your life has been, that sacrifice that was done by Jesus Christ is enough for you to find now a relationship with Almighty God through what Jesus has done. And more so, after you've come to that place, just what you've heard from Mike, it allows you now not only to be forgiven and to stand righteous before God, but it gives you the strength now to begin to live a life from a source of power that is greater than yourself. When I asked him that last question, he said, what else is there? You know, there is nothing else. The only source of strength we have, I believe, to be able to love people like that, to be able to have that capacity to do that, is coming from a greater love than yourself. A greater love, here's a verse, no greater love does a man have than he lay his life down for his friends. That's what Jesus said. He laid his life down and demonstrated. You know, there's another verse. It says, for God demonstrated his love for us. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. He showed it all by the demonstration of him giving his life so that you and I could be forgiven. Now, we're going to have many more episodes where I will go more clear with that, define that more. For the sake of things right now, we had an amazing guest on today that could have went through the rest of his life saying, I don't love anybody, people have treated me bad, people have done me wrong, and I'm done, and I'm going to go into Nashville and do my thing, and when I get to the top, I'm going to show everybody you shouldn't have jacked around with me, because now I don't need to forgive nobody. But he did it, and even wrote a great song about it that brought great Backroads Truth to this, and it brought great Backroads Truth to this program. So I'm asking you today, if you need to have that kind of forgiveness, that kind of closure, the first way you do it is by coming and saying, Lord, I need you. Jesus, I need you to save me. And you say, save from what? Well, save from a lot of things, but one of the things I can tell you, save you from your own self and your own way that you're falling into that pit of hopelessness and anger and frustration, and let him bring that love into your life. So you can do that just by inviting Christ into your heart, by trusting him as your Savior, and by letting his love infiltrate every little back road tunnel in your life today, just like Brother Michael told us about. And you know why you can do that? Because God loves you. God loves you. God is love. I love you. And I can tell you one thing about this guy. He is one of the most loving-hearted people that I've ever encountered in my life. Just a sweet, tender, gentle man. So I want to ask you, man, since you've already come on once, if you would consider, you already said yes, but maybe coming back again and playing a couple more songs for us. I know you play a lot of different instruments. Yep. How many songs have you written, you think, man?
Oh, hundreds and hundreds.
We can have 100 episodes maybe and have you on each and every time. Yeah. Well, we're on a journey together down this back road. It's old Backroads Truth troubadour here, JT8, saying we'll see you next time down the back roads. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Is that okay, Bob?
Bye-bye.
Hey, technical thing.
I love your spirit, brother.
Oh, that's fun, huh?
Love your spirit.
There you go. You can spend all your time trying to buy the perfect life with a